Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to yet another episode of the Last Knock Horror Podcast. I am your host, Billy Crash. My buddy Johnny Numb is not here today. He's doing something, I don't know, the Pied Piper of Pussycats out in the capital of Pennsylvania, whatever he's doing. But this is an ultra special show with three guests. And they are, in order, well, there is no order, the wonderful filmmaker, writer, and ice cream addict, Vicky Spiegel. Will be here as well as the wonderful actor, voiceover actor, and narrator, and I'm going to say sound designer and sound editor, Owen McEwen, and our ultra special guest from the wonderful UK is co-host of the Poisoner's Cabinet. Oh my God, how did I mess that up? Sinead Hanna. Thank you. How's everybody doing today?
Hello.
Very well. Very well. It's so excited.
Thank you. And I know it's Hannah, right? And I said Hannah. Like, why was I trying to put some weird accent on it?
You are sort of channeling the show here because for no reason we do things like Hannah. Yeah. Like, why did I say that? What am I doing? No, it is Hannah. You're fine. You're fine.
Right. Well, I need alcohol apparently right now.
I recommend it.
Well, thanks for coming on, everybody. And the subject matter of today, and I want to hear from, everybody and tell us about yourselves, promote your whatever vehicles you have. But I know the primary element, the common denominator, is talking about the great Edgar Allan Poe, regarding, stories, books, movies, maybe his life, the whole nine yards. So apparently this podcast will never end. So the floor is wide open, beautiful people. Enjoy. All right, that's great, and that's been the episode.
Who goes first? Do I say something? I don't know.
No. Well, how about this? We'll start with a question. When did you discover Poe? When was it like, man, this is Edgar Allan Poe, and wow, I love this guy. Like, how did that happen? The floor is open to you, crazy people.
Excuse me. I knew this was going to happen, that the phlegm would arrive as soon as I started talking, which is a lovely way to start this, is to throw in the word phlegm.
It's very Poe.
That's a missing Poe story, yes.
I think I discovered him a bit younger, actually. So similarly, read him at school over in England. I am born and raised in England to Northern Irish family, to parents, so very, very strong Irish heritage and culture, and part of the accent is from there. But in school, certainly, we would have studied Edgar Allan Poe as an example of the Gothic. At university, I did English and American literature, and of course, Poe was on there, Fall of the House of Usher. But really, I think it was when I was a kid, and this has sort of started my fascination with all things macabre and spooky and Gothic, because my parents were really into all things spooky, and my dad used to read to me. Yeah, and he used to read to me when I was younger, and he was always, was a complete bibliophile, like buying us books, and always would lean towards the fairy tales and the old folklore. And the folklore of Ireland is very magical, but very dark. It is very dark. And so I would have read bits of Edgar Allan Poe. I think I remember he would have been in one of those, glorious, big, thick compendiums covered in bats and vampires for kids, weirdly, that you had on your shelf. Or maybe it wasn't for kids. And so definitely remember reading The Raven, and then reading Fall of the House of Usher, and then The Telltale Heart, which I adore. You have to throw in the reference of The Simpsons as well. The first time when you see Treehouse of Horror 1 and you see the reading of The Raven, however old you were, then that would be some people's first introduction to this absolutely incredible poem. Sure. So I agree, he was always there.
I forgot about that.
I don't remember that because I was enthralled with Lily Munster, but that's a whole nother show. So.
Weren't we all,
For me, as soon as you said, when for some reason Vincent Price popped into my head.
Yes.
Because I think for me, my entry into horror was through movies and television. And I always felt like kind of a weirdo in my family because I loved all the scarier, the better. And my mom told me, I begged her to take me to see Night of the Living Dead at the drive-in when I was 5. And So, but I remember Vincent Price for some reason, and I know he did some. Yeah, and
That's
I think
my favorite movie by.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was actually. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. But
No, it's okay. So that was like my gateway drug to Poe was Price. So
no, he did, yeah, because he started so many of them with Roger Corman, and I even and I'll never forget like Fall of the House of Usher because he had that pure white hair, and I just loved his character. But the Pit and the Pendulum was just really, I loved what they did with the story. Actually, it's one of my favorite horror movies. Actually, it's definitely my favorite Corman film because of again Price, the way he performs, and delivers that whole thing. I just thought it was a blast. Just loved it. Oh man.
I think those are when we talk film, that is again my introduction to horror films, is watching those kind of Hammer horror or the Vincent Price movies on TV. And you look at them now, I think you watch them now. If you watch them with an adult, if you'd never seen them before, you'd be like, so lame, so cheesy, whatever.
Yeah.
I still defy people to go, actually, no, it's lazy. It is still scary. But as a child, which I should not have been watching it, but watching Mask of the Red Death as well, and Pit and the Pendulum, and those Vincent Price ones, and just finding them terrifying because of the soundscape and the drama they put behind it. And I never put two and two together when I was watching these. I just thought, it's a Vincent Price film and it's another Hammer horror and it's a legend like Dracula they'd done in The Black Cat, which I didn't realize again was Edgar Allan Poe. And it wasn't until I was way older that I suddenly went, those were all Edgar Allan Poe stories that they turned into films. I never realized, and I sort of heard the other set of stories that everyone reads to you, and then the film versions. I suddenly put two together and was terrified by them when I was younger and enthralled.
No, I know what you mean. And you just reminded me for some reason of one of the oldest horror films, one of the earliest silent films that they've discovered is from 1913. And I don't know if you've seen it. It's Edgar Allan Poe's The Student of Prague.
No.
And it's great. You got to watch it. I was like, I've watched so many horror films. It's like I have to add it to the list, but I was really impressed by it. It's really it was one of the stories that I hadn't read, but watching the film, it has this Faustian element to it. And I just really, really enjoyed it. So you want to see a wonderful early silent film, 1913's The Student of Prague by Poe. And it's, let me know what you think. It's wild. It's just wild to watch. But because there's so much you could do with Poe, and we've seen his influence on all aspects of horror. Just like how can you not, have a reference to Poe in some manner, even unknowingly. Yeah, and it doesn't get old.
No,
I think the interest in Poe still resonates and still gathers a pace every single time a new story is done by him. Anytime anyone talks about him. So, for example, on the Poisoner's Cabinet, we do historic true crime stories. And we did on the podcast, and I also did a TikTok video on it, where the people are. And I did the story that inspired the Telltale Heart, which is the murder of Captain Joseph White in Salem. So this was a true story, and a great murder case of a miserly old man who was murdered for his money and lies and all these different suspects who were involved. And that was the inspiration, allegedly, for Edgar Allan Poe. He certainly covered it. He looked at Nathaniel Hawthorne, also covered the trial. So all these great writers.
Wow.
But when we did the story on the podcast, it got a lot of traction. But particularly when I shared the video, just saying, "Did you know? Did you know that Telltale Heart was inspired by a real story?" Again, the views through the roof. Everyone just wanted to watch it. Everyone was just going, I love Edgar Allan Poe. And even if they're sort of, hadn't really watched the whole of the video all the way through, they were just like, Edgar Allan Poe, I am here for it. It's just he's almost a legend beyond a legend. Sort of people go, I love the vibe of Edgar Allan Poe. Even if you're not looking into the history that much, I can do a video on it and people will watch it just for the sake of watching it going, I'm an Edgar Allan Poe girly, or, those sorts of things. But still the fascination with him and his past and anything he was connected with is still so strong today. And whether that's the films, maybe that is Fall of the House of Usher reigniting that, or whether it's just that underlying thing that if you are into the Gothic, if you're into anything macabre, Edgar Allan Poe is kind of your granddaddy for it. You know, he is the person who started so much of it. You know, there's obviously writers way beforehand, but is the poster boy.
But it's also his, I think, a lot of what drives his popularity still today, because he still has millions of followers on all these various websites and social media, is his life story too. He's such a gothically dark, romantic figure, you know, this life he had, and he was emo. He was emo.
He was emo. And before it was emo.
And it wasn't cool then, you know.
No.
Yeah.
It wasn't cool when we were all emo, you know.
Oh no! Oh my God, no! No, but like Vicky was saying, you know, not just his life too, but his mysterious death.
Yes.
You know, nobody's like, well, what really killed him? You know, and I mean, well, people. It's almost like people treat that like the Jack the Ripper case. Who is Jack the Ripper? Well, you know, it's the same for how did Edgar Allan Poe die? You know, I think somebody like aliens killed him or something at this point. It's so crazy, but yeah, he just had a really bizarre life. One of those lives that like where nothing really like came together like he wanted, you know, and his you know, he was like all that failure, all that lack of money, you know, moving everywhere, and the strange marriages, you know.
Yeah, questionable.
You know, like, questionable. Real, and the women in his life were just, and I don't know. Every time I see a real picture of Poe, and I look at him, I'm like, I think I might have slapped him if I knew.
He does when you read him. He does seem a little whiny and like you. Oh, come on, grow up, you know. But at the same time, I keep noticing this pattern when I read about artists from the past whose work has blown up now, like for instance, the Brontes too. And they never saw the success in their own lifetimes that all of these companies and whoever is profiting from now. And it's just so sad to me. I feel terribly sorry for him, you know, that he didn't get to see how popular he is right now, you know, like that's crazy to me.
Yeah, and he tried to make himself popular because he wrote those puff pieces, and the puff piece was he would write under an assumed name a review of one of his poems, you know. And he would,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he did that all the time to try.
Oh my gosh,
his popularity. Yeah, he did that stuff.
So he was the ultimate social media guy too, then.
And I guess he does have this sort of persona, as you say, that it's exactly that. If we met him now, we would want to slap him, or we probably wouldn't want to hang out with him, or we'd have words with him and go, Edgar, mate, some of the stuff, great writer, where no one's denying that. We're a little bit worried about the relationships. We're not going to lie. I think there's, but also the fact that he didn't have success in his lifetime, and we've mentioned a couple of artists who are like that. You know, the Brontes, and I think one sister was successful. Emily Bronte was not, and she was sort of like the at the time not really appreciated. And Wuthering Heights has sort of gathered this pace afterwards. You've got Vincent van Gogh as well, who was sort of struggled and tormented, and is one of the greatest artists of all time now and appreciated. And maybe that it again feeds into that persona. And it's not just emo, it's goth, whatever we want to call it, of being the tortured artist. You know, I'm not appreciated in my own time. No one understands my genius. And maybe there's so many people out there going, well, you can always hold up Edgar Allan Poe and go, well, he didn't get success and he wasn't appreciated properly. And he was a genius, and people will realize it after I'm dead.
Yes.
Sort of, will they, you know, people like, no, the lifespan was a lot shorter back then. So you had time, but now, it does feed into that sort of, you know, the tortured artist.
Yes.
He does have that persona.
I'm wondering if Poe was considered back then a one-hit wonder, because he did have The Raven, and he would go all over, read that poem. That's how he made money. You know, like he would read it. Can you imagine being at a reading, him doing, you know, The Raven, and people not realizing all of these other great works, you know, because he's the father of the detective novel, you know, the detective story. You know, The Purloined Letter, and you he's getting credit for that. And I just think it's interesting that with all those failures, or the way we perceive, failure, he kept on writing anyway. It's like he couldn't stop himself. That's all he could do. Like Van Gogh could only keep painting. He couldn't do anything else. You can't stop what you are. Kind of thing.
I was just going to say I like the idea that when he was going and he toured the Raven. Does anyone know what he sounded like?
Oh boy, I wish I knew.
He probably had he had to have had like a Southern accent to a degree.
A drawl,
yeah, American Southern accent. Yeah, maybe. But knowing him I don't know would he have tried to have disguised his voice in some way or make himself sound different? So make himself
maybe
sound larger
affected something. Yeah,
I don't know.
Or he had a really squeaky high voice that just does not lend itself to the Raven. And he was doing all these tours and I was like, we need to stop him reading this poem. It's really good, but this is a bit much or something.
Well, actually, that's a good point because that probably wasn't the case because so many people came out to hear him read time and time again.
That's what I was going to say.
That's reassuring.
Now,
I feel like that they would have shut that down fast. Like, hey, we got this other fella. He's willing to read. What do you think?
Like a Jacques Brel or like Tom Waits kind of reading the Raven. Yeah. Like, can you imagine? Oh yeah, no, let's do that.
Oh my God.
Tom Waits reading Poe, that would be.
Oh, let's do it.
I'd pay for that.
Yes.
That'd be great. So, Vicky, how did Poe inspire you to create? You created this, television pilot and all. What was it? How did it come about? How did it jump into your brain?
I got as a gift for Christmas one year from my beloved family, a gigantic book of a compendium, as Sinead called it, of Poe stories in this beautiful big book. And I hadn't read him for many years. And I read, it was 2 stories, actually. It was what's the one is it called Buried Alive or Buried? Can't remember. But we all know that Poe had a fear of being buried alive.
A lot of people did back then, and rightfully so.
Yes, exactly. And that's why they had wakes, by the way. I love that. I love that. Anyway, that's another story. And then also one of my favorite stories of his is The Facts in the Case of M. Valdemar.
Yes.
Because it was absolutely terrifying and fascinating to me. This idea he posed that someone could die and really be dead, but be called forth still. So trapped in death, but still not able to die. And I was like, that's awful. And that's when this idea was born of The Worm and the Butterfly, which is about this man who dies, but he is able to, the only thing he has on him is this book of Edgar Allan Poe stories. And when someone finds that book and cracks it open, he comes back to life. But then we discover through the series that he can die over and over and over. I just thought that was horrifying. So that's how it happened. It was a Christmas gift of all that, that
it's a Poe Christmas.
Yes, it is. Hey, Merry Christmas, everyone. William Wilson is also one of my favorites. That's the doppelganger. It's the story about this guy who has a doppelganger, and one of them, William Wilson himself, is fairly narcissistic and sociopathic, I would say. And this doppelganger appears at his school. And what I love about the story is that Poe does not try at all to explain it or spell it out or say why this person has appeared or even exactly who he is. All we know,
that's true.
All we know is that he looks exactly like William Wilson, and he seems to pop up at these moments where William is being a bad dude, right? And like the angel on his right shoulder or something, I guess. And so that's a part of our story as well, that our main character, who can come back to life, discovers that there's a person following him, and then eventually he discovers that person kind of is him from his past. So there's several stories like that merged in my head and that birthed this horror story. And then Bill, my good friend, who is a fantastic horror writer, I reached out to him and we together just had a blast creating this cast of characters and we decided to set it in this sideshow. Among this sideshow family, they're the ones who discover this guy dead. And I love the one scene. I just have to tell you this one scene because I love it. One of the girls in the sideshow, she's actually, in air quotes, normal. She's not a sideshow person. She's a daughter of the little person in the show. And she's 12 and she's out. She always has a Polaroid camera with her. She's out walking about. She stumbles on this dead guy. And the first thing you would think is she'd run screaming, right? I found a dead guy. No, she starts taking pictures of him. Ooh, that's cool. Sure. Oh, creepy.
Of course.
And just, ambles back to the tent. Hey, there's a dead guy out there. And they find his Poe book. She cracks it open, and that sets off the entire show. This guy comes back to life. So Bill and I crafted this together and just had a blast. And then Owen, the magical mix master, did our pilot episode for us, and we had a blast recording that.
Yeah, we really did. So that's where we're at. Yeah.
That's so much fun to be able to create that world and to be inspired by him. But as you said, to create the cast of characters, you've got so much source material just to springboard from.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, too much.
Yeah, too much maybe. But is that what inspired you for your podcast, Sinead?
Oh, I mean,
was it Poe? And you're like, I don't know. A Poe cast? What was it?
Yeah, not so much Poe, really, just the amount of people who try to poison people, each other over the centuries, really. I mean, Poe comes from, the Medicis. The Borgias actually did not poison that many people. Lucrezia Borgia is wrongly maligned. She really didn't do anything, so we need to stop using her name. Really, the podcast came as just an interest in starting a true crime podcast that was comedic. It was about, but we thought we'll do history. And we love Victorian and we loved Edwardian and we loved that era Poe came from. Poe wasn't the inspiration at the start. It was, let's look at the lives of the great poisoners. Let's look at poisoners because they're fascinating. And this era, that was Poe's era as well, coincidentally, is just so full of interesting material of the way people lived, of all of these macabre stories that are also just batshit crazy and stupid in hindsight.
Yeah.
The stupidity of so many poisoners, and they're very dark in places, but there's so many people who thought they could get one up on society by subtly poisoning their enemies. And we just suddenly thought, okay, if we're going to do a true crime podcast, we'll drink during it. The format of the show is we make a cocktail that's inspired by the tale that we tell. And
oh man, this is the greatest podcast ever, just with that. That's fantastic.
We drink during it, but we do a lot of research. That's the thing, is that we're very particular that we would delve into the archives, and we only wanted to do historic. We didn't want to do, there's a lot of true crime that does modern stuff. We wanted to stay in that era because people love the Victorian era, and we've gone to the 15th century, the Tudors, we've done the Georgians, we've done back in Rome, but it's just an era that people love. They love the themes of it. They love all of the stories around it. And there's so much information you can mine from it and tell so many stories. So as you were saying, Vicky, Poe's fear of being buried alive. This was a genuine fear that so many people had across Europe because of their not understanding the decomposition of the body.
Right.
So people put into the ground and then they'd sort of stay over them and then they'd open a coffin later because they thought there was a ghost around or something, and they'd see these bodies sort of puffed up with blood coming out of their mouths, and they'd run around screaming, "Vampire, vampire, oh my God." And it's just, that's the way the bodies decompose. And then you have body snatchers later on, and like what people did to learn anatomy, and that universities and doctors and everyone were digging up bodies right, left and center and paying people for huge amounts of body parts to be delivered, to be studied. I mean, this is all stuff that you go, oh, okay, that must only exist in storybooks. And you're like, no, these things happened, and they just get crazier and crazier. And I think in the show, we've talked about the case that inspired Edgar Allan Poe on the show as well. Like, we love literature, and we have a little book club. I've done a reading as well of The Raven on there, and it's an idea that I want to take as maybe make a little stage show as well. Because I'm part of a drama group, to do something with shadow puppets as well, because that's just what I do in my spare time. It's and we've got a reading and it's available on the show as well. But it's the beauty of his words, and The Raven is something that always strikes me. Absolutely love it. And I could talk separately about The Raven for an hour. We'll do in a moment, but if you wish. But really, the show is just. Yeah, let's just sort of really lean into all of that macabre, all of that Victorian, and all of the silliness with it. Like, have fun with it. Don't get too emo serious. Like lean into the whimsy goth. That's what we like to do. Yeah.
And that is what, honestly, drew me to the Poisoner's Cabinet, Sinead. One of the things I loved about The Last Knock is Johnny and Bill's camaraderie. When I would listen, I would feel like I was sitting on their couch listening to their conversation, and that's what I loved about it. And I love when you and Nick are talking. I feel like I'm listening in on a conversation, that maybe I've invited over as your friend, and you're making drinks and you're talking about true crime, and it was the perfect mix. And it just grabbed me right away. I was like, "This is."
Oh, thank you. And I think with when you do duo things, and it's a credit to all of you as well. And you guys know, and it's really important to say that, podcasts are hard work. The work that you guys do and you put into it, it's hard work. If it sounds fun and irreverent and it's hit the spot, great. There's a lot of work that went in and behind the scenes. And that's not saying it as in like, well, everyone needs to acknowledge it. It's acknowledging other creators and saying, it takes time of you sitting with your head in your hands going, okay, we have to do this and we have to cut all of this out. And like, we do a lot of editing as well, because otherwise it's just umming for about 90 minutes. But yeah, it's a lot of hard work, but it's a joy as well. And it's really lovely. And it's lovely. And we get to meet people like yourselves as well. We get to meet other creators and get introduced to new worlds.
Well, thank you for saying that. That's wonderful. I just want to share a drink with you somewhere, like your best cocktails, since you're the mixologist,
Ooh. Well, I'll try and, you know what, we've said this and I should have thought of this before. So I'm going to search this while we're talking. Because we always come up with a cocktail that is inspired by the tale that we tell. So we obviously did a cocktail that was about Captain White, which was the story that inspired Telltale Heart. So I'll find it and I'll have a record of whether or not it was good. But the cocktails that we've done on the show, it depends if you like spirit forward or not. There's some classic ones. We always lean to the classic ones rather than party cocktails. Gotcha. So you've got to like your, a good bourbon.
Yes.
You've got to like your gin cocktails.
Yes.
Nick loves his chartreuse. I want to tear my eyes out.
That's a wild flavor. That's an interesting.
That is twiggy, as I call it. He calls it herbal. But these we sort of create the cocktails along the way. We found some good ones, and we always say there's not one cocktail for everyone. It's down to your palate. So we always say like, oh, if you've got a flavor profile that you like, or you say like, oh, I like something sharp, I like something sassy, we'll find something that you'll enjoy. But you just sort of go to a good mixologist and say, hit me, give me this. I'll see if I can.
Well, I would drink anything you put in front of me, even though I know you talk about poisons. I would take the chance. But does anybody know, without looking it up, what Edgar Allan Poe's favorite alcoholic beverage was?
Mint julep.
No.
What is it?
No, I don't know. I'm not going to try.
I never would have guessed. His drink of choice was a brandy eggnog.
Oh.
Ew.
Yeah, exactly.
Ew.
You know what?
Baby's drink. Sorry.
Now that I remember, we wanted to slap him a minute ago. That makes total sense.
I know.
It's a brandy eggnog. Okay, well nice. It's got its place. It's thick and hearty. Maybe he didn't eat enough. Maybe he was trying to get the calories that way.
Well, you know what, Sinead? I love how you're trying to save this. I love it.
He wrote some beautiful works.
He did.
I like that you went to absinthe, Owen, and it is. Yeah. I mean, it was the drink of choice of Ernest Hemingway drank it. He had his Death in the Afternoon. and he specifically said there was only so many that you could drink, or like corpse survivors as well.
He loved mojitos the most, though, believe it or not.
He did. Well, they're very refreshing, and they're very, they last a long time. You try and drink absinthe try it. A few you do go insane just because of the strength. There's no hallucinogens. There's no hallucinogens in there. That is a myth. It is just, as we call it, bastard strong, and it is it'll get you there, but you'll have a good time. But always stop. Quit while you're ahead.
A local bartender makes a drink from the 20s it's pineapple and absinthe. And it's like, can I have another 5 of these? And then it's like, they're calling an ambulance. But it's so good.
Oh, that's crazy. Pineapple is the weirdest things work together. It's the rule of thumb is fewer ingredients. Usually 2 or 3.
Absolutely.
2 or 3, you'll be onto something there. You start getting to 5 or 6. There's the odd exception, of course. But 5 or 6, you're just you're going to lose something in there. You're not going to get the full flavor. But a couple, the weirdest combinations sometimes.
A good rule for life, I think. I feel.
Yeah, and a good rule for writing, because that's what Poe did. His stuff was his stuff, and I'm not saying his stuff was simple, but he relied on elements of atmosphere and character to explore, like a particular track of a story, and he did it so well. He didn't need to come up with something wild. He didn't need to have a twist. Like if you do feel like there was a twist in a Poe story, it's a logical progression of the narrative, which is really wonderful. And I think that's the great thing when you read Poe. It's like, where's he going to take me? And that's what I always enjoyed. Like, oh man, there's 5 pages left. I can't see this ending. And then he does this thing. I think that's great to be simple on one hand and definitely not be simple on another. He really had a command of language that I don't even think he realized half the time. I don't know.
I suppose there's a question really is like, why do you think he still endures today? The breadth of work that he has. Why are we still not just like him, but just revere him and love him, and he's so embraced?
When I got that Christmas gift, part of me was cursing my family, and the other part was like rejoicing, because I did find myself skipping over some things. I was like, oh my Lord, this is total drudgery. Like there's no way I can get through this. And one of the...
I agree.
Yeah, but when he's on, man, he is on. And it just feels like he's channeling this story and just taking dictation, one of them that comes to mind is The Man of the Crowd. I love that one. It's short and simple. Talk about simplicity. But he leaves, any good horror to me is horror that leaves mystery and leaves things for the audience to read between the lines and go, what is going on there? And you don't tell them what's going on. Let them fill in the blanks with the nightmares from their own minds. That's what Man of the Crowd does. And but the one that like kind of killed me was I think it's actually a poem, "Never Bet the Devil Your Head," which is a great title.
Yes.
And some of the best movies that have been made of his work are the ones I think that don't try to recreate the story, but instead take inspiration from them. And I discovered this compilation made in the 70s, and Fellini did a version of Never Bet the Devil Your Head called Toby Dammit.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Toby Dammit.
With Terrence Stamp. Terrence freaking Stamp.
Yep.
And it is like Salvador Dali and Poe had sex and made this movie. It is crazy. It's wild. It is
crazy. It's nuts.
It's so good. It's like my favorite Poe movie, actually. I guess it would be
that's a great choice. That's really a messed up film. That is so wild.
It's really good. Yeah.
But this is why I liked Poe, because and it's part of what you're talking about here. He not only would have like this mysterious story to begin with, the characters that inhabited it were also mysterious, all of them in their own ways. It was like layers of mystery upon mystery, and you didn't know who these characters were really. There was always like an element of suspicion every time I'm reading a Poe story, regardless of how, like, I don't know if I could ever say one character was ever particularly nice in a Poe story.
Yeah, you don't know who you can trust.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that just added so much. But again, it was a simple approach. It's like, okay, this is going to be a mysterious story, even a poem. And, but the people in it are going to be mysterious as well. And it just adds to the flavor. It's like, being it was a great chef, like putting all these ingredients together.
My gosh. It's, I also love like Top Chef and any cooking show basically. And I keep noticing these parallels between cooking a really good dish and writing a really good story.
Yeah.
It's always like less is more, less ingredients is better. And it's the same in writing. And just
like mixing a good drink, just like Sinead said.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
There's no one to leave out. And sometimes you want something really indulgent. You want something really heavy and sweet, and you want to pour in all of that sugar and cream or whatever. And sometimes you want something sharp, and sometimes you want something just pared back. Yeah, it's the same. It's knowing what to put in and what to leave out and just sprinkling it. It's a great analogy.
You just reminded me of a story. We used to have a place, the Charcuterie up here in town, French chef, and one day the soup was New England clam chowder, which is clam chowder with cream, milky. And I like it. So I order hers and I, take one spoonful and I almost wanted to burst into tears. I've been in New England. This is the best New England clam chowder I've ever had in my life. I finished the bowl. I'm dying. I'm practically crawling, towards the kitchen to get to this chef. And I was like, this was amazing. This was the best I've ever had. So I'm doing all of this and that. She's got a little smile on her face the whole time. And she's like, Bill, I'm going to tell you the secret. Really? Yeah. I said, what is it? I use bacon grease. I'm like, what? It was like, that was it. She just added bacon grease to like this. And it was incredible. It was just changed it. And it was just the simplest extra element.
Yeah.
So sorry, we're talking about drinks and food now. I can't,
Yeah.
But it's that thing is that little bits of it.
Yeah.
Dear listeners, Vicky here. At this point in our interview, our audio went a bit wonky. Owen just asked Sinead what kinds of stories the Poisoner's Cabinet covers, and if she knows Poe's inspiration for the Cask of Amontillado. Back to the interview.
No, we do all murders and we do all kind of crazy crimes now as well. And that I'd heard that he was inspired by a real case of immurement, and immurement happened quite a bit. Sort of immurement is taken, which is the word for being walled up and being left alone, to die and to have a horrible death. It did happen. It was a form of punishment. It was more frequently used against women. If you didn't want to burn them at the stake, you'd put them in there. So people, again, the reports on these are sketchy because it was kind of historic sort of form of punishment. And then still some people were doing it. I mean, like all weird medieval punishments still were happening in the 1800s in certain areas. You'd be surprised. No, I'd heard that it was alleged to have happened that he was at a military base, but I didn't know that they actually found someone and whether there's a story behind it. So definitely we'll look into what the story could have been with that. And that's a great tidbit to sort of go, well, what did they do? Was it just a form of punishment? Did someone do something wrong? Did they break ranks? Did they commit a crime? Or was it, a form of their own punishment they were meting out within the ranks? Maybe they did. It's quite hard to brick someone into a wall without people noticing.
Yeah.
It's not fast.
How can you do that?
It was this protracted torture that they were used in certainly in the medieval periods, but it was so you would be bound and you would witness your life being taken away from you, that you would be walled up, and they would sometimes leave you food, leave you a bit of food, a bit of water, and then you would just expire, and you would just and sometimes they left you bricked up and they would feed you for years. But then that was your cell. That was your cell forever.
That sounded like what they did with Elizabeth Bathory, when they sealed her up.
So she was never sealed up. She was put under house arrest.
House arrest.
She was down in a cell, and there's a lot of as a side note, Elizabeth Bathory. She was. Many people think she didn't do anything. Is that she?
I know that the king wanted her land. Yeah, the king wanted her land.
He did, and all the nobles around her kind of set up this thing that she killed 650 people. Was she a nice person? No.
She doesn't look like it.
I firmly believe that she was horrible. She was like every other noble. I think she beat the hell out of her serfs because she owned them. Yeah. And she was not very nice. Did she kill that many people? And was it in their interest? No, I don't think she did. Was it in their interest to get her out of the way? But she was under house arrest. So she was imprisoned, and that became that she was walled up. But she was in a cell. It's quite comfortable. But she didn't get daylight. I think allegedly is that she was sort of sealed up and was not able to see daylight for the rest of her days, and sat there sort of ruminating on her life, on the very strange life she'd had.
Oh man, oh man, well, man, this is pleasant. But then again, we're talking about Poe, so how can it not? I mean, especially when you look at like his story on Marie Roget,
Yeah. Oh, it's so funny. I was just about to say that.
Oh, okay. It's so horrible. It was had such an impact on that whole area of New York for the longest time, right?
And I went. Yeah, actually, I have a morbid fascination. I will confess.
I think we all do. I think you're in good
company. Because he based that story on the true case of Mary Rogers, right?
Right.
Who went missing and was discovered murdered, and they think that they don't really know who killed her, but they suspect she was pregnant, and they suspect maybe it was a botched abortion. All of these things, but the cigar store it was based on the beautiful cigar girl. Wow, that's hard to say.
But you said it.
Yeah, I got it out.
Yay!
That location, I wanted to find that location in Manhattan. I was like, I want to go see where the cigar girl store was. And it's now, what is that? Like I think it's a Pret-a-Manger, or is that how you say Pret-a-Manger? Is it Pret-a-Manger? Yeah. Oh man. Wow,
well, fancy. You could, if you want to go way French, you would say Pret-a-Manger. But in England, you call it Pret. You're going for a Pret.
Well, Mary's cigar store.
In the United States, you call it the French place.
The French place.
The French. Yeah.
We're awful.
But anyway, that is still there, and I went to see it because I was like, oh man, that's where Mary Rogers was. But it's fascinating to me that these tales come down to us, and we may never really know how much of them are true, and how much have been embellished over the years to make them even, like, they're not morbid enough. We have to make them even more awful,
I'll just give it a little twist here and there. Yeah.
I just hate the ones like that where it's like someone, did die, was murdered, and somebody got away with it. That just always bothers the hell out of me. But,
there's a fair few. I mean, we covered Mary on Patreon, that story about all of the, and it's so sad. I think in that story, we were able to talk about there were a lot of hoaxes in the press as well about all the false reports that went around. The nice thing in that story, we were able to do the Great Moon hoax, actually, that was covered at the same time. So we angled some funny stuff in there where people claimed that the moon is actually covered with people with wings and elephants for no reason. But Mary,
they were drinking absinthe. We're back to absinthe again.
do look up the Great Moon hoax. It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. But Mary Rogers, sometimes you look at these stories, and when we're trying to cover them, and they're just unrelentingly sad. And it sort of puts us away because we don't want to make light of, we are making light of murder and crime and things like that, in all honesty. But in some cases like that with Mary, was she pregnant? Was this someone just conveniently getting her out of the way? As with many people, as with many multiple people happen. And that happened to be a story that was picked up and that may have inspired a bigger one. And that's why we know her name, probably.
Right.
But there are hundreds of others who were forgotten.
Yeah, exactly.
Man. Well, you know what? We're almost at the coming close to like the 1 hour mark. Any final thoughts on Poe, and give shout outs to yourselves too? Well, we'll get there in a second. Any final words on Poe first?
I was just going to say, I think we'd mentioned the films earlier on, and I'll give my shout out to my favorites and my least favorites, and some of the adaptations as well, if people haven't seen them. So I think, as I said at the start, I think Vincent Price is up there for me. Are they completely accurate retellings?
No.
But Mask of the Red Death, I mean, that you can't get camper or scarier, I think, than that. I mean, watching that, and I remember I so desperately wanted to see it when I was a kid, and I can't remember why. I think maybe it was just that I knew it was a scary film, and I hadn't seen that Vincent Price film. And then it was on TV one night, and getting the VCR and just recording it and watching this enraptured, and this crazy story, and not politically correct at all. The way it was shot, you're like, oh, decisions were made in this film, but the dancing and the macabre about it and everything is still finding this just endlessly fascinating. And it made me go and go, okay, this is one where I want to go and read the story. I think my favorite Poe story, I always waver because I love The Raven. I think as a poem about grief, I think it is outstanding. And it's one of those things that it's not often talked about, is that the grief that the narrator is experiencing, and the desperation to know that there's something else, and is lost in logic and is lost in books, to please tell me that I will see this person that I loved again.
Yeah.
And I think anyone who's lost anyone, I think you can read it as something terribly spooky, but when you read it having experienced loss, that there is something so bleak about it, and there is a bleakness with loss. It can't all be kind of like, oh, it'll all be fine. I think it's a wonderful poem. I do love The Telltale Heart because of its performative elements of it, because of the way it's written. It is made for someone reading that aloud, for someone to
absolutely
spiral through the mania that is that story, and the detail and the level, and it gets so detailed and boring to a point in points where you're like, no, but this is what a psychopath would do. This is what someone going, no, let me just talk you through every single thing, why I'm right. I think those stories are great. I did not love is it The Pale Blue Eye? Is it the new one?
Yes, with Christian Bale. The movie,
yes.
You mean? Yeah, that wasn't great.
Yes, the movie. I think everyone was saying it was great. I thought your man who played your man. Your man who played Edgar Allan Poe. I was just really thrown by the fact. I know this is so not the film geek in me that should be, but that was like, oh, that was the kid who played like the Dursley's son in Harry Potter. He's playing Edgar Allan Poe now. Oh, that's well done him. I was just pleased for him, but I don't think I finished watching it. I was just like, oh, this is boring. Oh, Bill, can we hear Bill? Bill,
can't hear Bill anymore.
Did you mute accidentally? Oh God. He is.
Yeah.
His soul from out the circle shall be lifted nevermore.
Bill, if you can hear us, Bill, you're muted. Bill, come back to the lights.
Okay, how about now?
Yay! We got you.
You know what? It was my phone. My phone did something bizarre. I don't know why.
Oh, come on. We know it was the absinthe. Stop drinking.
Yeah.
No, look. My phone did it. So there, Vicky.
Damn it, Vicky.
Yeah, send you some absinthe. Yeah, that movie was over stylized with Christian Bale, and they were like, oh, look what we're doing. And it was like, nah, you're not doing much. So
No. It's hard to get, and I do get very finicky and disappointed with Gothic films now, because I know everyone loves it and they say they love it and it's a very big trend. And I love Gothic literature, and I love an indulgent film, of course.
Yeah.
But
do it right or don't do it.
Do it right. It's not that hard. You need it. If you're going to do Gothic look, you need a good story. And that's what Poe had. You have all this source material. Those stories majority of them were packed with detail, and in such a short space of time, you made them juicy. He knew how to tell a story. He knew how to put it across and to entertain. And that is the beauty of the Gothic. And I think that's the beauty of macabre and Gothic literature, why we love it, is that he was able to entertain you with a story and just say, all right, I know how to put this across without dragging you through the mire of scenery.
And I would, bouncing off of that, I would say that as artists, as writers, as performers, the one thing we all have in common is that we want to know that our writing or our work is moving people in some way, either entertaining them or making them feel something. And poor Poe, I think we honor him by continuing to be inspired by him. And The Worm and the Butterfly was totally inspired by him. And I think he'd be happy to know that his work is continuing to live on through and inspire other people. And that makes me feel a little bit better as an artist, who's struggling. And it, like you said, Sinead, it's the joy of collaborating with people, honestly. Creating work with your friends and having fun doing it. Otherwise, there's no point, I don't think. And we have certainly had a wild ride creating this Poe project. So, yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, I look at Poe as, not to be funny, but I am, evermore. I mean, really, to have that take, he's transcended so much. His works appear in just about every blessed language on this little blue ball that we live on. His stories have resonated with so many different people of different generations for so long, since the 1840s. The staying power he has is just incredible. And, every year you could pick out like 3, 4, 5, maybe 10 horror films that have a foundation in his works, and it's just incredible.
For those who want to know who the hell I am, I'm Sinead Hanna, and we do the Poisoner's Cabinet. You can get it anywhere you listen to your podcast. It is comedy, true crime, cocktails. There is, amongst the episodes, there is a reading that I've done of The Raven as an actor and loving to read his work. So I've done a version of that. Nice. And if anyone has questions or anything, you can always reach out and ask us questions about the sort of time period around Poe if you need to find us.
And we'll share a link to that, Sinead.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can anyone hear me?
We can hear you.
Yes.
Oh, man. Well, yeah. Oh, man. Okay, good. Anybody else with anything to say? Or
just check out Freak Magnet too. Be sure to listen to our Freak Magnet. We are, we want to see it made into a TV series, and this was our idea to pitch the show and give people a taste of what could be.
Absolutely, yeah. And well, you can find my horror novel, The Hanging Girl, on Amazon. Just type in my easy last name, Prystauk. It'll pop up, and you can follow me on Twitter at Crash Palace, and where you're going to have links to a lot of stuff, including stuff from the Poisoner's Cabinet and anything from Owen and Vicky as well. And that's roughly it. I think this is one of several meetings that we should have again. Because there's so much more to mine and discuss. And this is made for a really good Friday recording, I'll tell you that.
It's a fun Friday.
It was.
Yeah.
Me too.
It's been really good fun. Lovely to chat. It's so fun.
Thanks for joining us, Sinead.
Yes.
No worries.
All right, great. Thank you all.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Many thanks to the lovely Sinead for joining us here on The Last Knock. Check out The Poisoner's Cabinet wherever you get your podcasts. Here's a little taste.
Hello. Would you like to drink cocktails and talk about poison? Or drink poison and talk about cocktails?
Then welcome to The Poisoner's Cabinet, a weekly podcast mixing true crime, historic mysteries, a dash of comedy, and lots of lovely libations for your listening pleasure.
Join us for a drink as we tell the story of a different deadly poisoner each week.
We always start by whipping up a cocktail inspired by the tale that we tell.
Oh, sounds delicious. Oh, so maybe an amaretto sour for a cyanide poisoning?
Long Island iced tea for the teacup poisoner.
Chicken for William Palmer?
What?
Nothing.
Join Nick and Sinead every Friday inside the Poisoner's Cabinet as we look at vicious Victorians, inheritance powders, and crimes of poisonous passion.
Follow us at The Poisoner's Cabinet on social media. Subscribe and share on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Castbox, or wherever you get your podcasts. And remember, your loved ones are trying to kill you.